Hi there. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Business is, well, it's definitely picking up, that's for sure. We were able to get Courtney Scythe on the stand, although for the moment we're just talking to Enoch, to try and get some more proof and testimony about what exactly did happen all those years ago, and, you know, to try and prove that there's some kind of connection between these two that would lead to the events 10 years later, now that we're seeing, as to why they might collaborate on a crime. Though I think we still got a ways to go to fully establish that, because I don't think we've necessarily proven why they would want to kill Odie Assman, but you know, I'm sure we're gonna get down that road soon enough. For now, though, we have to properly press and cross-examine Enoch to try and get a little more information out of him, because I don't trust his story as of right now, because, well, you know, he's making himself out to look worse, just make me look bad. Now that's, you know, that's a dick move, if ever there was one.
Hold it!
By moonlighting, you mean grave robbing, do you? Oh yeah, also, he did admit to grave robbing, which I guess statute of limitations is a thing, but that's not going to reflect well on him, I imagine. Surely, surely you need only to look at the graveyard scene and my appearance to gauge the answer to that. The lantern and spade. Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of fair. Like, why else would you have a spade and a lantern in a cemetery at night? But who on earth would want to buy a dead body? Yeah, good question. Any major hospital? A hospital? In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science. Well, yeah, I guess that's fair. There isn't a hospital in the world that has enough specimens to work with. Though, obviously, they can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by dubious means. As aspiring scientists, we young research students had no money to work with, as I'm sure you can imagine. So we made surreptitious arrangements with a hospital via some of our medical student acquaintances. We would never take anything of value from the graves. This was all for the furtherance of science, you see. That's what we all told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand. Hey, I mean, like, I guess sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to make ends meet. You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could expect the gravest of consequences. Get it? Grave. Because grave robbing. We students were caught between the hammer and the anvil. We needed funds for research. Professor Harebrain said exactly the same. Yeah, I do remember him saying as much. I'm quite speechless at the apparent levity with which you revealed this abhorrent behavior. Well, if you wanted to know why I was there at Lowgate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected it to end the way it did. That, I regret to this day. Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night.
Hold it!
The strange happening at Lowgate Cemetery, which you now deny, pretty sus. Not entirely. I ran to fetch the police at the time, you know. I was shaking like a leaf. But they didn't believe a word of it. In fact, I was very nearly arrested myself. So you went to the papers instead. I started big with the London News, but unsurprisingly, they didn't want to know either. In the end, though, It was reporters from the gossip rags, the gutter press, that came to get my story. Oh, yeah, so I guess the Daily Circus is one of those rags. And it spread like the plague to the capital as gossip-hungry Londoners lapped up the tale. The story was in every single paper at the time, with the exception of some broadsheets. And yet, only 2 or 3 of them actually interviewed me personally. Most of the accounts turned out to be very interpretive ghost stories. What about the article in the Daily Circus? That particular journalist found me at my dormitory. Man, too bad it wasn't old Mini Memo-san. He's an important reporter guy, though also, though at the same time, he was obviously Japanese, so it couldn't be him. But still, could you imagine? I don't know how, but he discovered my name. So I recounted to him exactly what had happened that night. And from your description, he drew this illustration. Precisely. That's how I learnt that the condemned man was the infamous professor. Because a reporter told me so. I had no idea myself, you see. The newspaper reporters are wont to snoop around in matters that don't concern them. So the scene portrayed in the illustration is accurate, then? Well... Thinking back now, I realize that I never actually saw the professor at all, though.
Hold it!
What are you talking about? I think I explained already, didn't I? Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison. So it was renowned among us. Among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghost of condemned convicts. For some absurd reason, I was scared of the graveyard at night. And, as a result, only too willing to believe that nonsense about the dead coming back to life. But you said that you actually saw it. I'd said what I'd seen in my mind's eye. After all, resurrection is impossible, isn't it? You'd have to be unhinged to think otherwise. Yeah, see, I don't like that little shit-eating grin you're giving off while saying it. Unless, of course, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night. Evidence? I don't know. Is there any material evidence that could show he really did see the professor? If we have anything at all, Mr. Naruhodo, I know. I gotta show that I gotta show it in his dumb face. I need to present it against that irritatingly backtracking statement of his. Wow, way to just give me the answer, so when you think about it. The point is, that night was a pivotal moment in my life. Yeah, that part I think is true. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax.
Hold it!
That would be, of course, Madame Two Spells. That young woman being Madame Two Spells, of course. Precisely. I must say, I didn't expect to run into her again like this 10 years later. As I have explained, I went by the name published in the article and, comme ça, I found the man. Yes, the article in the Daily Circus, I think you said, which did kind of just fucking straight up dox him. I was a poor student, with barely a penny to my name at the time. And the young lady put £5 in front of me. So you readily consented to having a waxwork of yourself made, and gave permission for it to be put on display. I did. I should sell what little I had to sell, I concluded. Oui, I remember now. I purchased something else from you that day, n'est-ce pas? Oh, did you? Did you? I can't say I remember. What was it, madame? His camera. Ah. Oh, yes. I made a point of taking it with me whenever I made an excursion into any cemetery. You took a camera with you, sir? To what end? To record the details of the bodies I disinterred. But I had no intention of ever visiting a graveyard again after that night, so I sold it. I see. Ah, but I still have it, monsieur. It is part of the special exhibit in my House of Horrors. I am very meticulous about such details. It is the Tuspel's way. It would seem, then, that this is the very camera Mr. Driver took with him to Logate Cemetery on the night in question. Yeah, so that's the real deal. It's not just like a model. Yes. Interesting. Let's see. Okay, so yeah, the actual camera that he had with him 10 years ago. Then I gave up on my dream of becoming a scientist. Hold it! I mean, you still are doing some kind of science when you think about it. I mean, engineering is just you know, applied science. This article, you mean? Published in the Daily Circus. Yes. Somebody informed the Dean that it was my name that appeared in the article. And carelessly let slip that night after night I was digging up graves. Hardly a model student, you might say. The university's reputation was execrably defiled, and I was expelled as a result. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Mon Dieu, I had no idea. And having been run out of university, you found employment in a somewhat specialist trade. Yeah, I mean, at least you're putting your knowledge to use of some kind. You combine your knowledge of science with knowledge of stage magic to create various experimental machines intended to demonstrate never-before-seen technology. And you use those deceptive machines to trick the government and private investors into giving you money. I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. Professor Albert Harebrain was just your latest victim, wasn't he? Whatever are you talking about? I have no recollection of doing anything of the sort. Bro, we went through a whole song and dance earlier about your machine and how it was not based on real science and was fraudulent and stuff. Come on, man. You're being really obstructive. And recalcitrant, even. What's Trevor up to? Why would he suddenly change his tune and recant his claim? I wonder if perhaps it's because his circumstances have changed now. What circumstances? Well, if he admits to having seen the professor emerging alive from his grave 10 years ago, it will expose a secret in Dr. Scythe's past that he would desperately want to hide. Well, yeah, of course. If Drebber and Dr. Scythe are working together now, then if Drebber were to betray her, there would be no reason for her to continue to cooperate. In that case, there's only one way around it. I'll have to prove he really did see it. Prove he really did see the professor's corpse coming back from the dead as he originally claimed. Sorry. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, exactly. I'm a mind reader, you see. Okay, so the answer is coming to mind, especially now that we know that the camera that he received was the camera that was on the model, I mean, was Enoch's real camera at the time. Because if we recall examining it, right, whether or not... Oh, wait, no, sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. As we recall, if we open it up, okay, yeah, we've seen this before, right? There were suspicious stains on the bellows, I think that's called. Yeah, Belos. Now, that's not necessarily definitive proof, but it's quite the clue, I would suggest. I mean, how else would dark staining get on there? It's not like fucking Van Zyke threw one of his wine glasses at it. So yeah, let's just shove it out there.
Objection.
What? I'm sorry, what? Excuse me? Wait. Go back. Did I present the wrong article? Did I present the wrong statement?
Hold it!
Go back. Okay, yeah, we've seen... Yeah, okay, this part, you were scared, you were a little bitch. See, look, you have some evidence that proves I encountered the professor that night. Yeah, the fucking camera, my dude. I don't know. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah, it's a camera! What the fuck else would it be? Was there some other fucking thing I was missing? Cause like, I mean, we got the update. The evidence was updated, and then like, I mean, come on, there's red staining there. What do you fucking like? I mean, okay. Clearly, I'm either presenting it at the wrong point, or there's like some other more obvious piece of information. I mean, at this point, we have a fair amount of evidence to sort through, which is when these games can get kind of tricky. How are they not the camera, though? Okay, let's...
Hold it!
Oh, okay, I didn't mean to press there again. Sorry. Yeah. Right. Again, it has to be the camera. Because, like, they specifically put a lot of focus on the camera, and then it was that statement where they were like, oh, if you have evidence, you should present it here, basically. Like, come on. Okay. I don't need to get overly frustrated, you know, at this point. Let's think about it. Okay, let's go through the statements one by one. This statement, I assume, is true, and not worth pressing further. This illustration was based on what I witnessed that night. Okay. That seems accurate. Thinking back now, I realize that I never actually saw the professor at all, though. Okay. See, this is obviously the whole... Even, like, the post, you know, dialogue between Susato and Ryunosuke basically said that we need to prove that Drebber actually saw the professor come back from his grave, right? So, like... Ugh? And so this statement where he says, oh, I never actually saw the professor, that seems like the obvious way you present the evidence, right? This, I don't think is a lie. And that seems basically true. Like, come on! Okay. I'm reasonably certain that this is the right... I'm on the right track. Let's see, though, this illustration... It shows the professor, it shows the lantern, it shows the spade, and it shows his camera. Okay, is it going to be the article again, really?
Objection!
Oh, okay. I guess that was the evidence. The article that showed the photo of him with the camera, and not the actual camera itself that we have in our possession that we could have presented. Clearly, that was the more obvious answer, wasn't it? Ugh. But oh well, we progressed, so without too much stress. So let's just fucking keep on pressing. Sorry, Mr. Drebber, but I don't believe that. Don't believe what? Your latest claim. You did see the professor on that night 10 years ago. Oh dear, we seem to be at odds. But I was there, and you were not. I know what I didn't see. The illustration of this article was drawn based upon what you told the journalist that you witnessed. Yeah, but I mean, it is just a drawing. A figure emerging from a tomb wearing an iron mask. Wait, what? Oh, that was the... That was what I was supposed to go with? Not the camera that they put a lot of extra emphasis on? His camera that had blood on it? That's actual physical evidence? I mean, I guess that makes sense because this story, this illustration was based on what he said he saw. Wait. Does it? No. Okay. Okay. You know what? No. Just I'll let Ryunosuke talk. He clearly knows something I don't. Yes, when the killer was tried 10 years ago, it was decided in the closed court's ruling that the man would wear the mask to hide his identity. Okay, so that's the relevant part, the mask. Like, that wasn't just like some artistic embellishment. He literally was wearing an iron mask when he was executed, which seems like cruel and unusual punishment, but whatever. It wasn't to be removed, even during his execution and subsequent burial. Not even the prison wardens would have seen the man's place. But obviously, the provision of this mask was not public knowledge. So, Mr. Drebber, as you just heard... Gah! A lowly student of the University of London certainly wouldn't have known about the condemned man's mask. Condemned man's mask. Okay, I mean, yeah, I guess. That makes sense and adds up. But, like, come on! The fucking camera! But, okay, fine. Clearly, I was on the wrong path. Or I was in the wrong... I got in the right place too soon, or something. So unless you'd actually seen the professor that night, it's inconceivable that the artist would have included the mask in that illustration. Gah! I mean, I suppose that's not something he would have just made up. Order? Order? Well, Mr. Drebber, bah. What do you guys say to that? It's a vile scene, isn't it? If you look closely. And as I've already been at pains to point out, I was utterly petrified. Which is why I had it in my head that I'd seen such a blood-curdling sight. But afterwards, I came to my senses and realized that I'd been mistaken. You're still saying you didn't see it? If you're stubbornly sticking to that story, witness, then amend your testimony to explain exactly how you think your eyes deceived you. Of course, of course. Only too happy to oblige. I can't believe he's still not going to concede the point. Yeah, he is. Man, he's slippier than a snake covered in Vaseline. What I in fact witnessed was a fellow grave robber at work? Wait, what?
Hold it!
Okay, I'm curious about that. Please, tell me more, Enoch. Tell me more. A fellow grave robber? What are you talking about? Like, literally, what are you fucking going on about? Huh. Well, I wasn't the only one busy in the cemetery that night, you know. Other body snatchers were at work. Jeez, how fucking common is grave robbing? Of course, when I saw one emerging from the hole he dug, my heart very nearly stopped. So that's the terrifying sight I actually saw, you see. You're claiming it was just another student on equally insalubrious business as yourself. Why was he wearing an iron mask, though? Many of the metal students would wear metal masks to protect them from bacteria during dissections. Oh. Okay. Okay, fine. Way to answer my question, Enoch. Clearly, the fellow was using such a mask to protect his anonymity. Wouldn't you say?
Objection.
But there's more to the story, isn't there? The article goes on to say, in the next second, a gunshot rang out suddenly from behind. The bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath then stilled once more. Well, we might assume that the sexton discovered the miscreants at work, perhaps, and fired upon one of them. Sexton. That's a funny word. If a gravedigger had shot someone in the cemetery, I think it might have been rather big news, my lord. Bah! But yes, well, I can only assume it was an
Strange.
Oh, got something on your mind, Esmeralda? I can only assume it was an embellishment bolted on later by the reporter. An embellishment? As I explained earlier, most of what the papers published about those events was fabricated nonsense. The journalists had a great time fashioning it into a horrifying ghost story. So, now you're saying there was no gunshot? That's right. Yes. I'm afraid so. Well, it seems Madame Tispels has something to say about that. But Dom Tispels! Don't take it out on Mr. Sholmes! Oh, yeah. Well, she's just stabbing, doing her work. Oh la la! Pardon! I was, lost in my thoughts. Would it be fair to say that Mr. Drebber's last remark was significant to you in some way? Because, yeah, you were there too, so, I feel like you would be able to confirm if there was a gunshot or not. No. I thought it was a little strange, that is all. How Monsieur Drebber could claim this now. If you don't mind me saying, Madame, what are you talking about? Well, when I met you 10 years ago, at your university dormitory, you accounted to me about your adventures in the cemetery, no? Including the gunshot. Oh, so he told you about the gunshot back all the way back then, huh? Then again, I guess you weren't in the graveyard at the same time that Drebber was, because it was almost dawn by the time you finished. Whereas I think the thing with Drebber was like after midnight or some shit. Stop! Oh, Jesus. You might want to watch your tongue, you know. Eesh. He seems kind of upsetty.
Objection!
Oh, damn, now he's slamming his fist too. Can I slam some fists? Bonk. Me, I can slam my desk. Have a care, Drebber. That's no way to speak to a lady. Gah. Please, Madame Tispels, carry on. Of course. According to what Monsieur Drebber told me at the time, he did hear gunshots from behind him, and the bullet hit the condemned man. I said nothing of the sort. No, you are very explicit about the details. About the mask that the figure was wearing. And the blood that spattered over you when he was shot. Ugh. Enough! Shut up, woman! You're making all this up. That will do. Mr. Trevor. Yes? You refute the account given by Madame Tuspels. I have no recollection of ever saying those things. Come on! Do you really expect us to believe you, motherfucker? You dumb piece of shit! You shitty asshole! Control yourself, counsel. I will not permit baseless accusations in my courtroom. Right. Under the circumstances, I think it best that you supplement your testimony with a statement to clarify your position on this witness. Very well. There was no gunshot from behind me at all, nor any spattering blood. Okay, so all this is part of the same testimony still, huh?
Hold it!
Okay, well, let me allow you to elaborate on that statement further. And also, now I think I see where the spattering, the camera's going to come into play. So yeah, it seems I was a little ahead of schedule, but I was right. Yet Madame Tuspels has testified that you told her about both of those details. Not true. I said nothing of the sort. 10 years have passed. Without material evidence to the contrary, you have no grounds on which to question the witness's word. Ah. Tell me, Madame Tuspels. Oui? What exactly did Mr. Drebber say about the blood that apparently spattered on him? Hello? This is what he told me. All of a sudden, he heard a very loud gunshot from behind his back. Wait, from behind his back, huh? The bullet hit the figure who was emerging from the tomb in the middle of the chest. In his heart. In his heart. Wait, so he was behind Enoch, huh? Some reason I assumed he was like behind the grave. But if that were the case, I suppose Enoch would have seen the guy or girl, whoever did the shooting. That makes more sense, obviously. One dreadful sight after another. And since Monsieur Drebber was at that time facing towards the condemned man, the blood spread from the wound and spattered on his body. On his body. That is what he told me. So, not an experience you would ever forget, is it? Precisely. And I didn't forget it. Because, as I've already said, it never happened in the first place. He's clearly lying. If only I had some evidence to prove it. We can't let him win, Mr. Naruhodo. So he mustn't overlook a single detail, no matter how small. Clearly. But clearly, we'll at least, I think we know where to go from here, right? The camera that I thought was relevant before has proven relevant here. I mean, that's how these games go, right? Sometimes, like, you have to present the evidence at the right time in the right place, like when the game wants you to present it, even if you could theoretically draw the same conclusions at an earlier point. That's just one of the, staples of this series and how it kind of built in the foundation. So I can't get too upset, but at least I know I wasn't, like, totally off base. But nonetheless, that is going to have to wait for the next episode. This episode's, going a little bit long as is. So in the next episode, we will prove with material evidence, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Enoch Drebber is lying about not seeing what he said he saw 10 years ago for whatever reason. I mean, presumably to hold up his end of the bargain with, Courtney, but, regardless. Until then, and until we deal with that stuff in the next episode, I'll see you around.